Hello, my name is Saffron Deer. Today I'm interviewing Jo Risley, and we're going to be talking about her work and how COVID has affected her practice. Hello, Jo.
Hi.
Okay, the first thing I wanted to ask you about was one of the first things I've noticed about your work was how biological your forms are. And I want to ask you, what is it about biology and botany in particular that appeal to you when you're making your work?
I was really having a think about this, and it goes way back. As a child, we went used to go yearly to Pembrokeshire, and I would be fascinated by rock pools. And latterly, I've been really interested in gardening. But what really started off my particular interest was IVF treatment. So, you spend time looking at these tiny, minute little cells in a petri dish under a microscope that have this amazing potential to change your life. And I think that's where it really goes back to. And I had a commission, or it was about, I think it finally kind of came properly to fruition about 15 years ago, to make some giant embryo forms. And I did made the originals by carving cubes of polystyrene. They were actually cast in bronze in the end, but the original forms were carved like that. And when you're having IVF, you become obsessed with the perfect embryo. And there was a definite relationship between carving these blocks, which was a very mathematical process, to get these
Creating the
perfect
perfect
divided.
sculpture.
Yes. So I think a lot of the sculpture I'm making now kind of relates back to that piece of work. And then for the RHS show, I made some giant pollen grains. I wanted to cast them in bronze, but we didn't have the money, so they ended up in fiberglass. But I tried to make them look as if they were rusted metal, because I really would have liked to have cast them in an iron. I think they would have looked great. And they looked like sea mines. And when you look at pollen grains, they can look very menacing. They're spiky, like viruses. And I was very interested in this connection. So I would say botany is the inspiration, but kind of where I'm trying to take this now is sort of linking these ideas, seeds, planting seeds, data, people being influenced.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned viruses actually, because I was going to ask you, do you think because of COVID-19 your work is sort of more relevant to people now because of the anxieties about the virus?
You would think so, but it's quite hard to know, because I've been, in a sense, working in isolation for most of the pandemic. So whilst I've been able to make a lot of work, I haven't had many opportunities to get that out into the public, because all the summer outdoor exhibitions were cancelled.
Yeah.
So what I was approached, it was sort of linked to the pandemic. A local private crematorium was asked to open early because they needed extra capacity in the county, obviously with the pandemic. And they've created a remembrance garden, not specifically pandemic related. This is just
Yeah.
something that they wanted to do. And they had this lovely idea to use sculptural seed forms,
Okay.
and have urns within these seed forms that people can lease for their relatives' ashes in the garden. So I have been making some of these, and that's quite interesting. Created a large winged seed and a couple of poppy seeds.
Okay. That sounds quite interesting. I wanted to ask you, because I know a lot of people have struggled in the past year to stay motivated. Is there anything you've done that sort of helped you stay positive while you're working this year and keep you going?
I think just the fact that I've been able to keep working, because I have my workshop is just walkable distance from the house, and I don't share it with anybody else.
Oh, so there's no
Apart from
risk
my
of
husband
contact.
occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in some ways, I've had more time to spend on my work, because in the past I also have a catering business that I run with my mum,
Yeah.
which over the years generally has been the bread and butter money, and the sculpture sometimes brings money in, but a lot of the time it doesn't. So I've that obviously that business is gone at the moment, because
Yeah.
home catering has, unless you want to provide a takeaway service. So I've had more time. yeah, to spend. And also with the first lockdown, I love gardening, and I got back into the garden, and that was really, I think the fact that the weather was so good made that
Yeah.
lockdown much more bearable. And I don't like big crowds anyway, so I suppose
No,
I
it's a
haven't.
great time for introverts.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, are there any changes you've made either to your practice or just to your life in general because of COVID-19 that you think actually you might keep on doing once the pandemic is over?
Well, I definitely to focus more on my work, prioritize that, as long as I can. So it is
Yeah.
obviously a question of money, but I have really benefited from that, and I think it sort of makes you realize what you do miss and what you don't miss, and you
Yeah.
start to learn a little bit about yourself. Like I said, I don't particularly like crowds, but I do miss socializing. I do miss my friends.
It's sort of different when you have the option to avoid people.
Yeah, 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 definitely. But I've been campaigning a lot over the last few years, and I think that has really helped that we have Zoom. So
Yeah.
although I've been isolated in some ways from the friends that I see all the time, I have had this amazing connection with people all over the country, which has, sort of helped a lot. Yeah.
Okay then. Those are all my questions then. Thank you very much for answering them.
You're welcome.